When you log into Salesforce.com, you usually land on a home page, which is this tab right here we can see on my screen over here that says Home. And on that interface, you'll see there's a number of items and options on your left-hand pane. Some of those are Create New, and that's an option where if I click on it, I can create a record very quickly just by clicking on, say, Account. I can click on that. Or Lead, and that'll open up an interface where I can start entering some data and get that data inserted into the database. I've also got Messages and Alerts, Recent Items. Recent items are items that I've looked at recently, so if I'm navigating and I left a record a minute ago, I could quickly find that and navigate right back to that record just by clicking on one of these links right here. I also have custom links. If your admin has set these up for you, custom links, say to an intranet or something like that, you could find them there potentially. So now, not everybody's Salesforce instance looks exactly alike, so what you see today may be slightly different than what you have based on any customizations that you've done to the system. Okay, you'll also see that I have my name or the name of somebody else up top here. In this case, we're using a record called Carolyn, which is a test user. I also have something here that says Show Feed. If I click on this Show Feed right here, what it does is it opens up an interface to the chatter. And the chatter is a functionality that Salesforce has implemented to allow collaboration with teams and other users about your Salesforce interface and things that you can find within Salesforce. So, for example, in this case, we posted a simple post by, hey, we updated this account because we converted a lead. We're hosting a new user webinar with GoToMeeting. For example, if I want to post something on my chatter, I could post a very simple comment and just say I'm going to share that with anybody that's following me. And there I go. I've got my new post. I can also do what's called a poll, and I can ask questions and kind of get people to vote on what option would be best. We can also attach files and links. We can post any feed to our followers, to a specific group. If there are groups, we can look them up. So, for example, I'm a member of a group called All of Kyazma, so the whole company. Your admin or your chatter admin can create a number of groups, and you can go in and post certain comments to those and kind of collaborate that way. We'll talk a little bit more about chatter as we go and look at some of the records. But one thing you can do also is hide this feed, so you don't have to look at it. So if I open it, it's there. If I get rid of it, it's like that. What I've also got on my home page is I've got my dashboard components. And on these dashboard components, you can see that I've got a couple of graphs that are posted here for me. And those are just kind of a snapshot of some things that are going on in Salesforce. And so when I log in, based on what dashboard I've chosen, I can come in and see a quick snapshot of some of the things that are in there. So, for example, if I want to change that dashboard, I can come over here to this link called Customize Page, and I can click on that. And it'll open an interface right here where I can choose a different dashboard based on ones that I have options to look at. And I can change that to a different dashboard if I want to. And then I'll see different graphs that are put up there for me. I also have my tasks. Now, I can assign tasks to myself, or I can assign tasks to other people, or other people can assign a task to me to work on, and those tasks appear in this My Tasks section. And you have different categories based on this drop-down menu right here. You'll see, here's my overdue tasks. If I click on that, I can go to today's tasks, which there are none. If I do this, I can go to this month's tasks, and there are none. I guess everything's overdue, but I can go back to overdue, and I'll see all my overdue tasks. I've also got calendar events. Salesforce provides you a calendar that you can manage inside Salesforce if you'd like, or if you want to do an integration with your Outlook. Salesforce does have means to allow you to pull in calendar events there. But as you can see, we don't have any calendar events right now, but I can create a new event if I choose to. And then I can put a time frame in, put a test in, and once I save that, that'll show up in these calendar events right here. Different companies use that. Some companies don't use it at all. Some use it rather extensively. So you're going to want to play around with that and see if it's useful for you. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to look at, let's see here, we want to look at how to navigate just generally through your Salesforce database. So what you've got is you've got a couple of links up above here. And these links can lead you to different tables. One is Chatter. We talked a little bit about Chatter. There's a larger interface, and if we click on that, it takes us to a much larger interface and allows us to many more things like building a profile, building groups, following different people, following different records, and things like this. So that's an overview of your Chatter. You also have a leads table. You have an accounts table, contacts and opportunities. Also, you have links to reports and dashboards, and then you have this little plus sign right here. And this plus sign allows you to add additional tabs up above based on what's available to you. So if we click on this plus sign right here, it'll take us to all the potential tabs that we have available. Some of these may be custom tabs for you. Some may be apps that you've downloaded. So for example, right here, here's a table called Incentives. Here's a table called Groups. This applies to Chatter. Campaigns, Cases. If I want to add some of those to my list of tabs up above here, I can click on Customize My Tabs. And then all the lists of tabs that I have available over here, I can grab one, apply it to my, my list. You'll see right here, Campaigns doesn't exist right now, but if I click Save, that Campaigns tab is now available for me to simply navigate to just by adding it to the top there. But if I don't ever use it, and if I don't like it there, I can click on that plus sign again, go back to Customize My Tabs, and get rid of that since I don't necessarily need it. And then we'll click Save again. Okay, so let's go just generally take a look at these tabs. So if we look at accounts, accounts are usually companies that you're pursuing heavily in a sales process or the ones that you are currently doing business with. We can look and see we have what's called a list view. And right here I can see a list of all accounts, my accounts, accounts that are new this week. If I click on that, it'll show me ones that are new this week. We've added no new ones this week. But if we go to all accounts, it pulls in all the accounts that exist in the entire system, and then we can pagine through them. We only have 23 in this test environment, but we can navigate through them by account name. So you can see right here this arrow says that I'm in an ascending manner looking at them, but if I click on, say, B, I'm sorting by account name, and let's start with B. If I go back to all, it'll show me all of them. Now another thing you can do is you can create your own list views of data if you choose to, by coming over here and clicking on Create New View. So if I click on that, I can come in and I can say, I want to see New York accounts. Now we're going to first filter by all accounts, and then we're going to come in here and we're going to say, show me all accounts where billing state equals NY for New York. And then we'll come down, these are the fields that will be included in our output. And these I want available to me. I'm going to click on Save. If you're an administrator, you can make them visible to everybody. Most people should only be able to make them visible to you or groups that they belong to. Click Save. And now we'll have a new list view called New York Accounts that pulls in all accounts where New York is true. And as you can see, we only have one right now. But we have another list that I think we called Utah accounts. Click on that. And the criteria is where UT is true. And you can do that for any field that exists on the account. You could say, you know, show me a 555-1212 list, and you can pull in a list of all those where the phone number is 801-555-1212. So you can create as many as you need to, and based on any criteria that you need to. I'm going to delete this one right here. So we just created that view. I'm going to get rid of it. Now you can create views also on your leads table. We have all open leads. I can go to that if I choose to. I also have all new leads I can go to. I've also got today's leads that I can go to. I can go to Utah leads, which is another list view we've created. Or I can create a new view and say, well, show me all leads where phone number is equal to 801-515-2000 or something like that. So that's a quick way to kind of navigate through your information. You can do the same also for opportunities and contacts. So let's talk a little bit about sales process and how to input data into Salesforce, how to use that data, how to convert a lead, what that lead conversion ends up becoming, and how to handle your opportunities after you convert a lead into Salesforce.com. Okay, so what you want to do now is actually, before we do that, let's take a look at a couple simple things right here. You have your name up above when you log into Salesforce. And if you click on your name, you have a couple options. You can go to My Settings, for example, and come over here and see your personal settings, change your password, grant login access to an administrator, see what groups you belong to, look at your login history and stuff like this. You can also make some general changes to your tabs, your pages, your email settings, and things like that from going to your name and then clicking on settings. If you click on My Profile, that takes you to your chatter profile, and that's the chatter profile that we have. Even though his name's not Carolyn, it's just a test. So we can go back here, and we can also log out from here if we choose to. So let's go back to where we were. Let's go click on Home. Okay, so now let's talk about leads. In Salesforce, what you do is when you're going through your marketing or you're going through your sales process, you tend to gather a list of names and contacts and companies that you want to follow up with and start to pursue and see if they're a good fit for your company. So what Salesforce provides is they provide you a table called leads. And in this table is where you're going to capture the names, contact information of all the people that you intend on pursuing. So let's come over here and let's click on this link right here called Leads. When I first go to it, I have my list views that I can choose and look through if I want to. But I also see recent leads. These are the ones that I've looked at recently. So these are all the leads that I've looked at recently in the system. Let's pretend we got a phone call or we were handed a lead from somebody for a guy named Michael Scott. So let's click on New. We're going to type in his name, Michael, last name Scott. Company is Dunder Mifflin. And the status, we're going to say he's open. If I have a phone number, I'll put it in here. And then I'll click Save. And now I've got this new lead in the system. Now it's possible that throughout our company we're getting many leads from different sources. One thing I want to check for is, do I have duplicates of Michael Scott in the system? Let's take a look. So if I click on Find Duplicates, this right here, I can click on this button. What it'll do is it'll look in the system for anybody where Michael Scott or Dunder Mifflin or last name Scott may be true. And if I click on these things, I can search based on these criteria, even by phone number, and see if I have any matching records in the system to make sure I'm not duplicating or redoing the same thing. So for example, I can see in my leads, I've already got Michael Scott in there. I've even got a guy named Dwight Schrute because he belongs to the same company. I've even got a contact in there, Mr. Michael Scott, and even another Michael Scott. I've even got an account in the system called Dunder Mifflin. So in reality, this new lead I have doesn't belong additionally in the system because we've already got him in the system. So you can do what's called a merge, and you can merge them together with a whole bunch of other records and try to merge them into one common lead or even one contact. And then that way we don't have duplicates in the system. I used Michael Scott on purpose because I knew we were going to have that. So I'm going to click on Cancel. Let's go back to Leads, and let's create a new lead then that's not going to be a duplicate. At least I don't think it's going to be a duplicate. Let's click on New Lead. And we're going to meet, there's a guy whose name we got a hold of. His name is Tom Hardy. And he's part of the Holdings company, if you spell it right, that is. And I don't have a phone number. We'll click Save. So we got our lead now. And so now that I've got this new lead in the system, our sales rep could be anybody in the system. And what I can do is after I've saved that record, I can come and change that sales rep to not be Carolyn anymore, and I can look for a different user in the system. And let's put it to John. We'll click Save. Actually, when I change it to him, I'm also going to send him a notification email. So we'll click on Save right here. So now John owns this new this lead. And so when he goes to My Leads, he'll be able to see leads that he's in charge of. So his job now is to pursue this lead, contact them, get to know them, and see if there's something that we need to pursue and include in our pipeline as a potential sale. So what he's going to do is he's going to go in and he's going to set up a meeting by creating a new task. So he comes to Open Activities right here and clicks on New Task, or he can scroll down below that same open activities is available in the hover link right here. So if we come down, we can see that same information and click New Task. And we'll say, we'll make a task called the initial contact task, and he's going to do this today. And he's going to put comments, actually he won't put any comments, he's assigning this to himself. He's going to make sure he does it today, and we'll click Save. Now we'll see we have a task in there for today, and that's to contact him. And you can see I have a task window here of reminders for things I need to do. So I need to make sure I contact Tom Hardy initially. If I also go to my home page, and I scroll down here and I look at things that are due today, I should now see that I've got that initial contact I've got to make with Tom Hardy at Holdings Company. So let's go back to Tom Hardy. Let's suppose we made our phone call to him, we talked to him, turns out it's going to work out. So I'm going to come in here to this activity, which is also down here below, click on Initial Contact, which is my subject, and I'm going to come in, and you'll see if I hover over this comments thing, I have a little pencil mark right here, which means that I can just make the edit right here by double-clicking on it and saying, I spoke with Tom, and he would like, you know, to pursue this a little further. So we'll click OK. We're going to come down here and we'll say, we did start this. Oh, let's click on Save. We're actually going to change our status as well. You can also edit a record by clicking on this Edit button. Come in here. We're going to say this is completed. And it was completed today. We'll click Save. And then it shows me my task that I just completed. If I click on Tom Hardy again, which goes back to the lead, you'll also see Tom Hardy's name is over here because I've looked at him recently. So if I click on Tom Hardy, it takes me back to that lead. I can see I've got a completed task under Tom Hardy's name. And if I click on Initial Contact, it'll give me those contacts, and I can take a look at it again. So it shows me everything. It kind of gives me a rundown of what happened. So one thing I may want to do, though, is I may want to actually take this lead, now that he looks like he's a viable lead, and convert him into the system as part of our true Rolodex information, meaning we're going to create an account record for him. We're also going to move him from a lead to a contact. And we're going to move him into the system in such a way that we can start pursuing this particular person and this particular company and building a pipeline around our sale. So what we do is we have a button here that's called Convert. If I come down here and click on this button called Convert, what it's going to do is it's going to give me an interface where I can actually take this lead, split him into an account, a contact, and generate an opportunity. And your opportunity is your pipeline, so that now you can see your true pipeline for this particular account. So we're going to come over here. We're going to see the owner of this new account that we're going to create is going to be John Krasinski, which is in the user in the system. If it's going to be somebody else, you may want to look for somebody else in the system. So for example, we could go back to that Carolyn user that we had by searching for it. Click Go. And then send that new owner an email notification if we need to. Now it tells you what it's going to do. It's going to say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new account called Holdings. If the account Holdings already existed in the system, if I click on this drop down, it'll say create new account called Holdings or append it to the existing account called Holdings in the system. That way, it'll already tell me generally if there might be a duplicate situation coming up. And then it says I'm also going to create an opportunity. And we'll call this Holdings Initial Sale. Now you don't have to create an opportunity for every single time you convert a lead, but in a lot of cases you may if it's the first time you're interacting with them. So in this case we're going to create one and we're going to call it Holdings Initial Sale. And we're going to have them as a conversion status of qualified. Then I'm also going to create a follow-up task. So I'm going to create a follow-up task and I'm going to call this Follow Up. And I want my task that I follow up to be due on the 20th of next week. I can put comments in here also, so I'll make sure I follow up with Tom regarding marketing info, etc. And then we want the status to be not started, priority normal, and I can send myself a notification email for that as well and set myself a reminder on the day it's due at 8 a.m. to make sure I get on that. So we'll click on the button now, Convert. Now what I've done is I've created an account called Holdings in the system. I've also created a contact called Tom Hardy. In addition, you'll see that one activity that we had with Tom, that initial contact is already appended to the account and the contact. And you'll notice that if I come over here, I'll see I have that one follow-up task that I've also created that I'm waiting to do. If I go back to my home page and refresh it, I'll also see that follow-up task will now show up in my this month tasks that are due, because we set it for the end of next week. And there we go. So now everything, as you can see, has been kind of thrown into this bucket, which is the account. I've got my contact, I've got my activities, and you'll notice I've also got an opportunity that are all tied to this particular new account. And it says Holdings Initial Sale. Now this is where I'm going to capture my potential sale. I'm going to forecast out how much I think this potential sale is going to be and when I think I can potentially close it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm actually going to click on this link, or if I scroll to the bottom, those same things are there. Here's my contact, here's those activities, and here's that opportunity. So if I click on this opportunity right here, it opens up where I'm going to capture my forecasting of my pipeline. So what I'll come in, I'll say I intend on closing this date. It defaults to the last day of the current month, but let's suppose my sales cycle is actually a few months out. So I'm going to say it's actually going to be by December 31st. I intend on closing this sale. And I actually propose that this potential sale is going to be $5,000. Now, if I close that, I'll say now, within my forecasting, I've got by December, I intend on closing a sale of $5,000. Now, you'll notice that Salesforce has something here called probability and stage. Now, based on your sales process, you may have different values that are available here, but Salesforce provides different probabilities and stages that you can use. So, for example, now that I've engaged with them and I want to do some prospecting, I can click on this and choose my stage to not be prospecting anymore. Let's pretend that I'm now in the proposal and price quote stage. You'll see my probability jumps up. So if I click OK, this $5,000 in the opportunity pipeline reports is now going to be calculated at 75% of $5,000. And so what will happen is as I go through and I make changes to my close date and my probabilities and my stages, my potential pipeline changes based on those, based on the quarter, based on the probability, et cetera, et cetera. And if I click Save, I've now got this new opportunity. December is when we intend on doing it. We're already in the quoting stage, which my organization is calling 75% probability. Now, most organizations make their own changes to these probabilities and kind of make some adjustments to the stages as well. So you may see something totally different than what you see here. But you'll also notice that as I'm working on it, I can come in here and I can add new activities and tasks anytime I want. Things I need to, a task that I want to follow up on, tasks I need to work on, and my task history, what I've been doing, and the interactions I've been having with this client. And so that's kind of how you gather your lead, your pipeline, how you convert a lead, how you check for duplicates, how you turn that into accounts, contacts, opportunities, and how you update your opportunities. Now, if I actually sell and close this sale, I'd want to come over here and change this sale to either close wanted or close lost it. So, for example, they say, you know what, we're going to stay with our current vendor. We appreciate the time, but we're not going to pursue it any further. Or we could come over here and say, yeah, we won this business, and that's 100% probability. So we'll click OK and save. And now our pipeline actually shows us of having won that particular sale. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about generally is, let's suppose that I just want to do some general searching in the system. If I come in here to this global search up above, you see the search button in the search bar. If I type in Dunder and click search, first of all, it does kind of a brief recent item search. So if there's something in the system I've looked at that actually had Dunder as a name or somewhere within the record, it kind of says, well, hey, you've already looked at those things. But in this case, we're just going to click search generally. Click on search. It pulls anything where Dunder Mifflin may be true, or where Dunder may be in the situation. But if I do this, if I pull in 1214, and I do that same search up above, it should look anywhere where 1214 may be in the record. And in this case, it's the phone number. So that's kind of one way you can also search through the system and get an idea of how that works. So one more thing we want to talk about before I answer some questions is Salesforce provides you what are called reports and dashboards. So we have these links right up above here called reports and dashboards, and that's where you can come in and see some reports that have been built for you, or where you can choose to build reports for yourself. So if we click on this reports link up above, it opens up an interface of folders that contain reports. So on this side, you'll have access to a certain number of folders. You may not have access to all these folders, but you may have access to a bunch of them. So for example, if I come down here to Opportunity Reports, I can click on this folder and see which reports are available in there. I can also look at reports that I've looked at recently. So for example, I can see Adoption Dashboard or Leads by Status. If I click on this sample report that's been built, let's click on that. It pulls in a report of information of leads, how many are in there, which ones have been converted, et cetera, what their status and lead source are, and that kind of thing. It even summarizes those for me. But let's go back to reports again. There's a number of reports you have access to. I suggest going and take a look at them. There may be some very specific reports that have been built that you're required to go take a look at. Lead reports, sales reports, opportunity reports. We can come over here and look at our opportunity pipeline report. Click on that. That'll pull in opportunities that exist, which ones that are new, which ones that have been closed, which ones are open, what probability they are, what companies they belong to, and that gives me an idea of what's going on generally within my pipeline. But you may have a number of reports that are available. You also have what's called dashboards. If we click on this dashboards link up above here, it takes me to an interface where I have a number of dashboards that I can see. This is just a default one that Salesforce provides, but many times you may have to have your own built for you, whether you build them or your administrator does that. You can come in here, we can look at, we have a demo dashboard that we've created. If we click on that, it pulls in some data, gives you an idea. Here's the leads by source. Here's closed sales year to date. Our goal is this. We're obviously way too far from that. Top accounts, who's producing the most amount of money. And just like that, you can kind of get an idea of what's out there, who's making money, that kind of stuff, which accounts are producing, the greatest amount of revenue for our company and stuff like that. So take a look at your dashboard, see what's available. If you have specific stuff that you'd like, maybe ask your administrator to build them for you. I'm not going to go through actually building reports and dashboards, but you do have, to some degree, that available to you depending on your sharing rules. So I would suggest taking a look at it if you have the time. Okay, so generally that's how you use Salesforce, and that's kind of an overview of how the system works and what it does. What I want to know now is, does anybody have any questions that we need to look at? And I'm looking right here, I do see a couple, so let me actually open this interface up and see if I can review these questions. Okay, so let's see here. First question, you may get to this, but how are you integrating Salesforce Calendar with iCal? That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure what iCal is. Are you referring to the calendar, say, on your iPod or iPhone or with the iOS? I'm not entirely sure. I've never done that. You can integrate your calendars with Salesforce. You can do also your calendars with Google Apps through your Google Mail and Google Calendaring using Cirrus. If there's any other iCal, I'm not entirely sure. There might be an app out there that allows you to integrate with it, but it's nothing native to Salesforce. You might have to look into that. Next question, when you create tasks, is there a way to create push notifications that will show up on your phone or computer reminding you to complete these tasks when due? You can send yourself an email reminder, so let's actually go look at that. Let's come over here. Let's click on, say, Contacts. Let's open up a contact real quick here. We'll go to Tom Hardy, the one that we created. If I create an opportunity, so I say new task, I can create a new task and send myself a notification, but in reality, that just sends me a notification right now. Your reminders are really what needs to come out of Salesforce. When you log in, you kind of get that reminder interface. Now, you can build a trigger if you need to, or some sort of a class in Salesforce using Apex coding that could do that for you, but Salesforce doesn't necessarily do that. Natively. If you do have a calendaring system that integrates with Salesforce calendars or tasks, you can probably have, so for example, if you're syncing with Outlook, you could have your tasks go into your Outlook, in which case the standard Outlook notifications would let you know. And if you have somehow your Google account tied to your calendar also in your Google Tasks, and I guess on your iPad or your iPhone, if that calendar synced through Cirrus or something, then yeah, it would notify you. Those are a couple ways to do that. I'm not sure that helps you too much, but hopefully. Let's go on to our next question then. How do you capture the emails when you sent to from leads within the lead or contact information? Okay, so now you can send an email to somebody within Salesforce by coming. So for example, let's look at Tom Hardy, and I hope this is what you're talking about. But right here you have something called HTML email status, and you can actually come over here and click send an email to a contact from Salesforce and send them information. And then when they open it up, it'll let you know, and when they reply to it, it'll let the Salesforce know as well. But as for it showing in like your Outlook or your other mail system as well, you'd have to have some sort of third-party integration tool like Cirrus, or you'd need to have Salesforce for Outlook or something doing that. I hope that answers. If you have a follow-up question for that, that'd be helpful. But I think that's what you're saying. So you can send it that way and kind of get an idea, and have it tied directly to the account within Salesforce interface. But if you need that to go back to a third-party system, you need to use the third-party app or Salesforce's Outlook integration item as well. Can we see a sample of forecasting reports that project revenues? That pipeline one is a test one that you can take a look at. Every company does it a little bit different. So if we go back to reports, there is your typical opportunity pipeline report. So if we go to opportunity reports, opportunity pipeline, this is the standard pipeline report that Salesforce has. That's certainly one place you can go to do that. If you need something very specific, you can always build a custom one or have your admin build a custom one. But this is kind of a standard one that comes with Salesforce. The next question is, can you create custom? Oops, hang on here. Can you create custom reports, and if so, how do you do that? Okay, here's how you do it. You come to your reports tab. So let's click on that again. Opens up an interface like this, which we've seen with the ones we've looked at recently, and also some folders. We can click on New Report at this point. And it opens up an interface where you get to choose what tables you want to pull data from. So for example, let's click on Opportunities. We can click Opportunities right here. And this kind of gives me a general idea of the data I'll be looking at. We'll click on Create. It opens up an interface here where I can drag and drop data into my interface. So for example, I've got opportunity name, type, lead source, amount, close date. I can pull out some of these fields if I want by just dragging and dropping them. Get rid of next step. Let's get rid of fiscal period. Let's get rid of age and created date and owner role. But let's suppose we want to see last activity date. When was the last time an activity occurred on that opportunity? There you go. We want to see last time or what the primary campaign source was. I can drag those onto the page. And then when I click Run Report, it pulls in and runs that report for me. And I can export that data also by clicking on this button, Export Details. I can pull that out into an Excel format by choosing Excel. If I want to do a CSV perhaps because I want to put it in a different system, I can choose that as well. So let's click on Excel format, click Export. And what happens is it'll open that up in my Excel. And now I've got that report pulled out in Excel. One thing you want to be careful of is when you save this report, If I click on File, Save As, what I want to make sure is I don't save it as a web page. It will default to web page, so you're going to want to come on and make sure that's an Excel or CSV or other format that's acceptable. So you save it as a web page and then you try to send it to somebody. What'll end up happening is they won't be able to open the file. Anyway, so done. Now if I want to add filters to that, I can click on Customize again. It already has a time filter for you, which you can adjust. So for example, it's showing me all opportunities where close date is within the current fiscal quarter. But I could say where close date is all time and change the output to all opportunities. I can also come in and add a filter right here by clicking Add, and then say where type is equal to, look it up, let's look for value, say type is new business, not existing, insert selected, click OK, and then that'll filter that by that particular filter. Click Run Report, and there we go, we've got a new report once again with that filter in it. So that's how you build reports. There's tons of videos online that could really help you if you want to get into real deep into report writing. I suggest going and take a look at that. And if you're going to do that, you might as well view some of the videos online on how to do dashboard building as well, because those kind of go hand in hand. Next question we got is, I work on a Mac, and I guess these questions are Mac. Oh, you must be referring to the iCal. Yeah. You know, that's a good question. I'm going to have to look in a little bit more to see how iCal works and how you can integrate it. I'm sure there's ways to do it. I'd go on the App Exchange and see if somebody's got a good, some sort of interface tool that allows you to do that. So, sorry, I wish I could help you more on that. Next report, can the closed won report be organized by state? Most definitely. So let's, we actually got that report open. So here's our opportunity report right here. Let's go in, let's customize it. Now, the opportunity report standard that we have has the opportunity data, like we can see. Here's opportunity data from that table. Let's close that. Opportunity owner data, account general data. So we can look right here. We can see account general data and account billing data. Let's pull in the billing state, and now we can see all the states. Let's now filter this. Let's get rid of this filter where type equals business. Let's remove that filter. And now let's do add a filter where account billing state equals New York. We click OK, run the report, and now we filtered it where the opportunity account state is New York, and here's our report. We can export that as well and send it off to a manager or whoever needs it, yada, 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 that kind of thing. So that's how you would filter that. And there you have it. Let's see here. That's the last question I have. Does anybody have any other questions? We'll give you a few seconds here if you got something else to think about or any other questions you'd like to provide. And if not, I guess that's just about it for us. Okay, well, I appreciate everybody coming to the webinar today. Hopefully you learned something new. We do provide these webinars weekly, so look on our website, register for them. Encourage your friends to check out our website and register for them as well. We'd like to have as many people as we can join and get to know how to use Salesforce. It's kind of exciting to have you be part of the Salesforce community. So, all right, after that's been said, I'm going to close things down and wish everybody the best weekend, and we'll see you later. Appreciate it.